reacts. What's going on YouTube? What's going on Instagram, Twitter, all platforms? Welcome to another episode of BigPatssportsTalk reacts. Good Big Blue Crew. And just another thing that's came to my head, man. Be doing this a lot, man. Things that come to my head, I'm just gonna bring it to you guys and bring out the conversation in the Giants community, man. And the thought that came to my head in this episode is, everybody knows that Brian Daboll is a quarterback whisperer. He's known to, bring some good quarterbacks to the table. He changed Josh Allen. And now he's with the New York Giants, and he's going to be working with Daniel Jones. And he's came on a record saying he believes in Daniel Jones. But the question I ask now is, can Daniel Jones be Brian Daboll's biggest accomplishment? Or will he be his biggest failure? This is a question that I came to in my mind. And I think it's a very good question. I think it's a very valid question. The reason why I think it's a valid question is because what if he, let's talk about the positive. What if he turns Daniel Jones into a very good quarterback like they did with Josh Allen? Think about it. If he gets Daniel Jones to throw over 30 touchdowns, over 4,000 yards, continues to work on his turnovers. He has his turnovers down. The Giants go into the playoffs, get a playoff victory or play very well in the playoffs his very first year, and then moves forward, and Daniel Jones continues on that path, and Daniel Jones conversations flip. Instead of him being talked about as one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL, he's being talked about as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Wouldn't that be a major accomplishment for Brian Daboll? Wouldn't that be a huge check on the Brian Daboll list? Because think about it, man. Everybody says that Daniel Jones is terrible. He can't read the pocket. Pocket awareness is terrible. He turns the ball over too much. He's not a very good quarterback at all. He's the worst quarterback in the NFC, ranked 23rd or 24th quarterback in the NFL out of the 32 quarterbacks that qualify in the quarterback rankings. He's not a winner. He's injury prone. He's not a good leader. He just all around sucks. And so when he was with Pat Sherman, he did half decent. And then when he got with Joe Judge, he was absolutely terrible. I believe he's like 10-25 in his career. He has almost as many turnovers as touchdowns. And the media just bashes him, man. The media kills the kid. He's not worth the number 6 pick overall. The Giants reached on him. He's a bust. He's this, he's that. What if Brian Daboll turns Daniel Jones around and turns him into one of the best quarterbacks in the league? How great of an accomplishment that would be. Not only would he turn this kid's career around, he will also get him a bag of money. Because if he balls out this year, they're going to franchise him. That he balls out again next year, they're going to have to pay him. And he's going to get upwards of $40 to $45 million a year. So if this kid balls out the next 2 years, you're going to have to give all the credit to Brian Daboll. Like, you're really going to have to give all the credit to Brian Daboll. And to be honest with you, Brian Daboll should ask for a raise. That would be his best accomplishment. Because he turned this bust, this worthless, trashiest, just the most horrible quarterback in the league. Even his own fans say he's horrible. And he turns him around. And we become a winning franchise again with Daniel Jones. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this. I know a lot of people are going to say I'm crazy. I'm not saying that he's going to do it. This is just a hypothetical, a what if you want to call it that. But if he does that, think about the prowess of Brian Daboll. He turned Daniel Jones into a franchise quarterback, a quarterback in the league to be respected, a quarterback in the league that wins, a quarterback in the league that say that he can take the Giants to the Super Bowl. What a freaking accomplishment that would be. And all the Giants fans who seem that they want this kid Daniel Jones to fail, don't you know if this kid turns in to be what we drafted him to be, that's half the battle. We don't have to worry about the quarterback position no more. The most important position on the team, we don't have to worry about anymore. That's why I'm cheering for the guy. If we don't have to worry about the quarterback position anymore, that's gravy. You guys can't understand that? You should want this kid to succeed, because if he does, we're good. We're off to the races. That means our offense is playing better. That means our run game is going to be better, because now you have to worry about Daniel Jones carving you up. Our receivers are going to have better stats because Daniel Jones is putting up stats, so he has to be throwing it to somebody. You guys see where I'm going with this? And it will be all credit to that guy. That guy to my left. It'll all be credit to him. And I'll be honest with you, I will go into that office and ask for a raise, because I took this quarterback that nobody wanted, everybody hated, everybody made fun of, nobody believed in, into a franchise quarterback that's more than likely could get us in the Super Bowl if we build this defense the way Wink wants this defense built. And I think this Daboll will have ultimate job security with the New York Giants moving forward. Just being honest with you. There's no way that everybody and their mama in the New York Giants community, the Big Blue Crew community, our community, shouldn't give this man his just due if he turns Daniel Jones into a franchise quarterback that's to be respected. I think you will have no choice but to give Daboll 100% of the credit. And I think that will be his greatest accomplishment as far as coaching in his career. Because if he does that, he will look like an absolute genius. And I hope he does it. Now, that was the positives about it. I think he could be, and hopefully Daniel Jones will be, Brian Daboll's greatest accomplishment. But there's always two sides to every coin. I'm not just going to come in here and spew, oh, it's going to be so great. No, because there's a different side to it as well. Daniel Jones can also be his biggest failure. And what I mean by that is, hey, if this kid doesn't ball out this year, let's say he plays well enough to get us at a 9-8 record, and you decide, you know what, man, this kid may have something. He got us to a 9-8 record. We were almost in the playoffs. Let's give him another year. And then Daniel Jones turns out and we get another 9-8, 10-7 record. We actually get into the playoffs. And then Daniel Jones gets his money. And then he turns into an absolute dud. Daniel Jones will actually cost Brian Daboll his job. If they hold Daniel Jones more than this year and they don't make it to the playoffs, or at least make a playoff run, Daniel Jones will cost Daboll his job. Daniel Jones will be booted out of New York, and Brian Daboll will lose his job. Reason why? Because when you let Daniel Jones be on this roster for more than just this year, then there's no more what do you call it? There's no more relief from Daniel Jones. You just tied yourself to Daniel Jones. You let Daniel Jones stay on this roster after this year, you're tying your coaching career to Daniel Jones. If they miss out on drafting a quarterback next year, like a C.J. Stroud or Van Dyke from Miami or whoever else shows up in a draft next year, and we keep Daniel Jones, you're tying your future to Daniel Jones. And if he fails, We all know as sports fans, as NFL fans, when a quarterback fails and he's the hand-picked quarterback for that coach, when a quarterback fails, the coach is fired. And then, guess what? You were known to supposed to be a quarterback whisperer. You were known to get quarterbacks to be better than what they were. Now it's going to come into question, are you really that good at coaching quarterbacks? Was it just Josh Allen getting better without your help? Because Josh Allen's going to continue to ball. Josh Allen is good. He has the confidence now. He's going to ball out for the Bills. I don't see him having too many bad seasons for the Bills in the near future. I just don't see. I think that kid has turned into a very good quarterback, and he's got his groove. He knows what to do on the field. He's a leader, and a lot of that's contributed to Brian Daboll right now. But if he hangs on to Daniel Jones after this year, and Daniel Jones turns out to be the quarterback that everybody's saying that he is, that's going to tie to Brian Daboll, and I don't think that's a mistake that he can recover from. So he also could be Brian Daboll's biggest failure. And this is your first time coaching, so it's really, really, really going to hurt you when it comes to if you're going to be allowed to be a head coach again. Everybody remembers Josh McDaniels. He tied himself to a quarterback over there in Denver. He failed, and he didn't get another coaching job for about 8 years? I'd say between 5 and 8 years. I have to fact check myself on that, but I'm going to say between 5 and 8 years that he didn't get another head coaching job. And then he went back home to the New England Patriots. Joe Judge just did the same thing. He had to go back home to the New England Patriots. But if you hang on to this kid, Daniel Jones, it could be your worst failure as a coach. Because remember, Daboll's a rookie head coach, so a lot of things are tied into the quarterback. Let's be honest. That's the reason why I said Daniel Jones was gone after Shane and Daboll were hired, because the quarterback is always tied to the head coach, especially a first-time head coach. When he brings in this guy, that guy doesn't work out, 9 times out of 10, that head coach is fired, because they're not going to allow you to pick another quarterback and fail again. That's franchise suicide. It really is. And so I just did this subject, man, because there's always two sides to every coin. Man, Daniel Jones could be his greatest accomplishment, or he could be his biggest failure. If you decide to tie yourself to Daniel Jones. Now, he can get out of this whole conversation and just say, hey, forget it. I'm letting Daniel Jones go after this year, regardless of what happens. Unless he puts up an MVP year, he's gone. And I can't blame him if they do. I can't blame him if they do, because this is his future. This is his career. This is his first coaching gig. And no way I'm going to tie my coaching career to a quarterback that I don't believe in and I don't trust in. This first year, he gets a pass because these quarterbacks coming out in this draft are not that great. In my book, and obviously with all the quarterbacks that have been signed in free agency, all the veteran trades, a lot of people think that this draft is not good for quarterbacks. So I'm not the only one. And so keeping Daniel Jones for this year was probably the smartest decision for him. They brought in Tyrod Taylor just in case he gets hurt, and just in case they get rid of Daniel Jones. Next year, they have a veteran quarterback to start in front of their rookie, to where he doesn't have to come in and go straight into the fire unless he proves he's ready to go straight into the fire. So I think they're doing a smart thing with the quarterback position here. And I think that's the way to go. But if Daniel Jones balls out and then they franchise him and he plays half decent and then they give him a contract, he's tied to Daniel Jones. And if Daniel Jones fails, guess what? You're fired. Point blank, period. We passed on 2 drafts of quarterbacks to keep Daniel Jones here because you wanted him here. You wanted him to get paid. You're fired. After your 4th year, you're fired. And so for all the people that's saying I'm a Daniel Jones lover, I'm a Daniel Jones this, I'm a Daniel Jones that, no, I look at things logically. Logically, he's probably the best option for you this year, because if the guy does prove to you that he can be a franchise quarterback, I'm not even going to say half, that's 75% of the battle. Because when you have your franchise quarterback, you can go so many different directions because you know your foundation is strong. And they've already worked on the offensive line, so once they get that offensive line straight and you get Daniel Jones straight, this organization is straight. All the defense needs to do is show up and let Daniel Jones work. So, yes, I think keeping Daniel Jones here one more year to see if he does have it is worth it. And plus, this year is not counting against me anyway because of the situation that we're in. If you logically thinking, no way Merrick could put this on him because he don't have his quarterback. And this draft coming out with quarterbacks ain't worth it, so okay, we give you 1 year. At least that's what I would do as an owner. And see, I keep it logically enough that when I tell you the other side, that Daniel Jones could be an absolute terror for his career if he does hold on to him after this year. Because that's when it starts to affect you. So you go into the 2nd year with Daniel Jones. Now you're looking like, okay, Daniel Jones is my guy. And if Daniel Jones is your guy and he doesn't perform, and he's here with you for more than 2 years, you're fired. You're fired. And I believe these guys are very smart, so they're going to play this card as well as they can play it. I hope it turns out good for Daniel Jones. I'm not banking on it. I think he's going to be replaced after this year. But if he puts up 30, 35 touchdowns, 4,000 yards, leads us to 9-8, maybe gets us into the playoffs, it's a major decision. It's a major decision. Because I'm not going to say 100% bring him back. Because if you still see things in film that you're not good about Daniel Jones, even if he did do that, I say you move on. I say you get your guy. I say you train him from day one, and he's your quarterback from day one. And now you're really banking on yourself. You're not banking on a quarterback that has tendencies from other regimes and things like that. No, you got your guy, you got your quarterback, you train him the way that you want him to be trained. He goes out there to do what you train him to do, and let's see if we win or not. That's taking control of your job. That's taking control of your future with the Giants if he does that. With Daniel Jones, is always a what if with Daniel Jones. Oh, yeah, he did one good year, but what if he turns bad the next year? Okay, he did 2 years, and the prime example, Kirk Cousins. So, no, if Daniel Jones has a franchise quarterback year this year, I'm on the record saying, no, I don't believe he's going to be a franchise quarterback for years to come. He's going to have to prove it to me at least 2 years in a row. Give me 2 years in a row, and then, yeah, I'll say Daniel Jones is our franchise quarterback. But the problem is, with this new regime, do they even give him 2 years, even if he does ball out this year? There's a chance that they be like, you know what, I want to go with my guy. My guys. I want to go with my guy. We could get good trade value for Daniel Jones. We might be able to get a first-round pick. Hey, trade him. And if they do that, I'm not even going to be mad because I already know what they're doing. I'm going into this situation with this new team, and I'm going into this situation with my quarterback. I'm going out my way. I'm not depending on another quarterback that was drafted by another regime, and he turned out to be bad because they didn't know what they were doing. And then he plays good for me 1 year, and then he turns back into the same type player the next year. And then just because he had that one good year, okay, we'll give him a third year to see if he can prove it again. And then he fails again. And then what if that draft, the quarterbacks after that second year with Daniel Jones here, that draft of quarterbacks is trash again? Then what? Now you're in a quarterback pickle for the past 3 years. You haven't made the playoffs. Guess what? You think this Giants, you think these Giants fans are going to allow him to be here 3 years and not make the playoffs? You guys are impatient. You guys are going to want him fired if he doesn't make the playoffs next year. But this subject was just on my mind, guys. I love doing these videos for you guys. I love coming up with these subjects that's just on my mind, and I just want to talk to you guys and get you guys to tell me exactly what you think. Am I crazy? Am I loony? Am I tunnel vision? Am I a Daniel Jones lover? Man, I don't care. Just put your comments in the chat and let me know what's going on. Let me know how you guys feel about this situation. Daniel Jones can be Brian Daboll's biggest accomplishment or his biggest failure. And hopefully he turns out to be his biggest accomplishment and not his biggest failure. Hopefully he's smart enough to get out the situation before Daniel Jones could become his biggest failure. And that's just keeping it honest. That's just keeping it real. I'm not jumping on one ship. I'm not jumping on another ship. I'm not jumping on any ship. I'm just talking my logic. Logical. And that's a logical situation. Do you keep riding this wave with Daniel Jones and risk your future with the Giants? Or do you jump ship after this year and buy you a new boat? Fix that boat up, get that boat running the way you want to run it, get it running at the speed that you wanted to run it, and let's see if we can make it. That's a question you have to come up with. Even if Daniel Jones has a pretty good season, I think that's a major question for this regime. Do we keep this kid and hope that he turns into a Josh Allen type or whatever y'all want to call it? Do we bank on this kid turning into a franchise quarterback? Because it's only 1 year. And I'm the type of dude, you got to prove it to me. Do it 2 years, do it 3 years, do it 4 years. I don't want to do it 1 year and then I just give you the world. No, that's not going to happen. I need you to do it 2 to 3 years in a row. Just my take on it. Be honest with you, I think they cut bait probably no matter what Daniel Jones does this year, unless he has an MVP caliber year. And then I think they will consider it. But he will definitely be franchised. And you will have to do it again. And I'll be all honest with you. I'll probably franchise him again. And make him do it again. And then give him his money. But that's just me. But that's been the subject of this video here, man. Thank you for tuning in to Big Pat Sports Talk Reacts. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. There's also a join button that you can hit if you want to talk your talk with Big Pat Sports Talk, because you know I'm going to talk my talk no matter what you thought. I do appreciate all the members that I have now. We are continuing to grow. And the more we grow, the more I'm going to give back. Like I said, hopefully I get enough members soon to where I can do raffles and I can give back to the Big Blue Crew community, because, man, you guys deserve it. You're here for everything that we do. I'm proud of you guys. And, man, I'm just so glad that we formed this Big Blue Crew and we got you guys here with us, man, because your support keeps us going. It keeps the videos going. It keeps the mind going, it keeps the brain going, it keeps everything going to where we could get this content out to you guys. But Until the next episode of Big Pat Sports Talk Reacts. Peace. This has been a Big Blue Crew production.